This practice is led by Maïté. For more, please hit the subscribe button and visit integrativemindfulnessmovement.com. Standing Yoga Sequence. This series of gentle mindful movements provides an opportunity to be with yourself and with each moment with a welcoming attitude towards whatever is arising. Let's now begin by standing in mountain pose. Feet hip-width distance apart, unlocking the knees, shoulders stacked on top of the pelvis, arms along the sides, head floating top of the spine. Eyes can be open with a soft gaze downcast in front of you on a focal point, or eyes can be closed, whatever feels comfortable for you. And now see if you can enter this practice with open curiosity to the ways the mind and the heart listen and respond to the body's inherent wisdom. You are welcome, of course, to override my instruction whenever you are becoming aware of movements that are not right for you in this time. Allowing choices that are respectful and compassionate by either modifying a pose or by adopting a comfortable posture and imagining yourself doing the movement to honor and support your entire being. And now bringing awareness to your feet, feeling the contact of the feet with the ground, aware of any sensations arising through the heels, the balls of the feet, the toes, and noticing here the contact point, pressure of the feet with the floor, as well as perhaps the point of non-contact. And gently receiving the floor underneath you, noticing its qualities. Is it soft or hard, firm or solid? Taking a moment to sense and become aware of the earth below you, receiving its support. And now bring awareness to your leg bones and noticing some muscles that are perhaps firming up, tensing to hold you in that mountain pose. And gently inviting the tailbone to draw downward while the spine is elongated upwards, encouraging some alertness, like awakening throughout the torso. And noticing how the crown of the head is reaching upward with energy while the feet are reaching downward. Turning your attention to spatial awareness, becoming aware of the space below you, on top of you, around you, and also of your full body presence in this space, in this moment. Noticing how subtle movements arise out of stillness. Awakening to the breath, noticing the body breathing by itself and receiving the ongoing flow of the in-breath and the out-breath without controlling anything. Just noticing how the air in this space is traveling in and out of the body. And bringing curiosity to the subtle movements of the body as the breath moves through you in the region of the shoulders or the chest or the belly. And being attentive to the conditions curious of how things are constantly shifting, even in very small ways, and that nothing is as rigid as we might think. And now raising the arms out to the sides, slowly, feeling the effects of gravity as the arms are continuing to reach up and overhead. Feeling the elongation throughout the body, underneath the armpits, the sides of the torso, the hips, the legs even. And then perhaps clasping the hand to stretch further and giving yourself permission to explore in which direction to go to benefit from the stretch. And then now gently unclasping the hands, staying here for a few moments with the hands overhead, aware of the blood circulation through the fingertips and the arms, and slowly floating the arms down, paying attention of the effects of gravity on the muscles of the arms, sensing perhaps the weight of the arms and how the breath might be affected. And then resting here in mountain pause, receiving any sensations arising out of these movements. And then on the next in-breath, rising the arm back up and overhead, playing here with the stretch. For instance, rotating one way and the other, and gently returning the arms back down along the sides, aware of the sensations present within the body. And returning in mountain pause, perhaps turning the intention inwardly, closing the eyes if this is supportive, tuning into the breath and whatever residual sensations, thoughts, emotions are making themselves known. Then floating the arms up and overhead, pausing for a moment, aware of the sensation throughout the fingertips, hands and arms. Grabbing a hold of your right hand or wrist with your left hand and guiding your body into crescent moon pose, side bending the torso towards the left side and noticing how we are stretching the right side. And returning to center, switching the hands and exploring crescent moon stretch to the other side. Coming back to center and letting the hands float overhead. Pausing and observing any benefits that you are receiving from the stretches. And then lowering the arms halfway into a T position so they are lined up with the shoulders. And stretching at the wrists by reaching the heels of the hands out. And now bending down with the fingertips towards the earth. And repeating this a few times. Aware of the range of motion throughout the wrists, the muscles involved in these movements, and then floating the arms back down, coming back to center into mountain pose, aware of the breath and any shift in sensations arising and passing, and then floating the right arm up, just stretching the arm as if you were trying to reach or grab a fruit at the end of a branch that was a little out of reach. Noticing how perhaps the left heel might want to come off the floor. Aware of any change through the breath. And perhaps wiggling the fingers or feeling the reach out of them. And then returning the heel down if it was up, and the arms back along the side. Pausing in mountain, aware of the difference between the right and left side of the body. Feeling perhaps some tingling, pulsing, numbing throughout the right hand. And now floating the left arm up and overhead and reaching for that branch. Noticing any sensation throughout the toes pushing into the floor as the hand is reaching. And aware of any tendencies that you might have, such as striving or pushing hard, being aware and respectful of what is being called for in this moment. And perhaps responding of the needs to wiggling the fingers on this side as well. Then slowly returning to center and floating the arm back down along the side. And resting in awareness of the mountain, embodying presence, awakening to any similarities or differences between the right and left side, as well as the comparing mind. And then taking a moment to receive the support of the floor and to notice how the architecture of your body is supporting you in this standing position. Experiencing whatever sensation is showing up in this moment. Now perhaps taking the legs together and floating the arms up and overhead, locking the thumbs and bringing the hips out to the right side as the hands are reaching out to the left side. Feeling the bending happening throughout the torso and the sensations arising throughout the ribs, the waistline, as well as perhaps the head and neck, the spine, the legs. Aware of the breath and any tendencies to want to push or pull hard, to strive, to want to perform, and or to back off, and then coming back to center, pausing for a moment, aware of what is being present and experienced, floating the arm down halfway and back up to lock the thumbs the other way around. And now bringing the hips out to the left side as the arms are stretching out towards the right side. Aware of the edge of your own limits on this side, as well as any sensation of stretching, extending, and also perhaps contracting, tightening. And allowing the body to soften into the stretch, inviting perhaps a few breaths throughout the body. Then returning back to center, bringing the arms back down to the sides of the body. Reopening perhaps the legs into a supporting stance to meet mountain pose and experiencing this new mountain pose in this new moment as if it was the very first time we were in mountain, which it is in this moment. welcoming whatever you are experiencing with a sense of kindness, curiosity, and non-judgment. And now moving on to shoulder rolls, bringing the shoulders up towards the ears and letting them slide down along the back. Incorporating the breath to the movement, breathing in, raising the shoulders up, pulling them back, and exhaling, sliding them down. Exploring this motion at a pace that feels right, and noticing any sense of contraction as the shoulder reach up and relaxation perhaps as the shoulders reach down. Maybe sensing the contact of the hands, the skin with the fabric of the clothes. Perhaps inviting one shoulder at a time to roll and then the other. What is it like to disassociate the movement from one side to the other, and then maybe reversing, pulling both shoulders back, up and forward. And again, breathing in, hugging the shoulder back, lifting them up, breathing out, sliding them down. Continuing the reverse shoulder rolls only if this is respectful of your body in this moment. Otherwise, imagining the move in your own mind's eyes. And then perhaps exploring one shoulder pulling back, up and forward. And then the other, aware here of the range of possibilities and choices. Then pausing at the center, receiving the effects of these shoulder circles. Noticing any shifting in the conditions of the mind and the heart. Any shifting in the pattern of the breath. Being present to what is here. Now moving the attention to the region of the neck and exploring with great care this part of the body which sometimes can be constricted in the range of motion. And now turning the head slowly towards the right side, pausing when you can no longer go, breathing in and out. And then taking your time, returning back to center, noticing the subtle sensation within that region of the neck, and shifting, turning towards the left side, pausing, noticing the breath, to stretch out the sides of the neck, and then slowly coming back and repeating this motion by bringing curiosity as you are repeating the move, noticing the slight changes arising and what you are taking into sight. Any sense of ease or release, restriction or contraction. And then pausing at the center and tilting the head to the side so you are bringing the right ear towards the right shoulder, receiving a stretch to the left side of the neck and returning to center. And now tilting the left ear towards the left shoulder, where here of perhaps the weight of the head, and then coming back to center. And then repeating these motions once more, tilting the head towards the right side, back to center, and to the left, noticing how the breath is maybe accompanying the movement. And then now returning back to center and tilting the head down, chin towards the chest, feeling an elongation to the back of the neck. And then now reversing by tilting the head back, chin towards the sky. And then one more time, breathing in, lowering the head down, chin towards the chest, noticing a contraction to the front of the neck. And then taking a full breath here. And perhaps on the next out breath, tilting the head back, aware of the elongation through the front of the neck and the contraction in the back. And then returning the head to center, tilting the chin down toward the chest one more time, and going into a full neck roll, noticing which side you are choosing to begin with. And if you are breathing or not. And then once you have completed the circle, reversing, letting the breath float freely throughout the body. Pausing once your chin in towards the chest. And slowly at your own rhythm, reversing one more time. Maybe with eyes closed this time. Exploring all the sensation arising within the neck. And also perhaps on the surface, at the skin level. Then coming to center, pausing, returning the head back so it's balancing right on top of the spine. And anchoring into mountain pause for a moment, feeling yourself grounded and stable. And now shifting into a balancing pause, widening the stance, bring the feet a little wider than hip-width distance apart, pressing through the soles of the feet to find a solid foundation, softening the knees, and finding a focal point to rest your eyes for balance. Now placing the hands on the hips or out to the sides in a T position, and bring a little bit more weight to the left foot to float the right leg any amount that feels right for you. Exploring here our edge, our limits, and how balance is made of a lot of subtle movements, including perhaps the movements of the breath, and if we are forgetting to breathe, breathing in and out of the body. Choosing here how long to hold the pause, and remembering that you can always place one of your hands against the wall or a chair to guide you through balance as needed. And returning back to center, pausing for a moment, noticing the sensations arising within the right and left sides of the body, feeling the weight even throughout both feet, and transferring the weight now to the right foot, placing your hands again on the hip or out to the side. Now floating the left leg, noting here any sense of ease or challenge through balancing the efforts to the muscles and perhaps the comparing mind, noticing those tendencies, and then now inviting a smile on your face, awakening to the difference in experience. What is it like to being serious or playful? Is it shifting the balance? the felt experience, and then floating back down to center, returning the arm and paying attention for a moment to any sensations, thoughts, emotions. And now bringing the hands on the hips, finding a stance that is comfortable for you, with the knees soft and the shoulders stacked over the pelvis. And choosing one side to twist from the waist to the crown of the head, keeping the hips forward, allowing the head and neck to follow the movement. And then untwisting, coming back to center, keeping the hips forward and rotating directly to the other side, allowing the head and neck to follow the move, and unspiraling to center, breathing in and out, and rotating to the first side, looking away, letting the eyes rotate even more throughout the corners of the eyes, pausing for a moment, maybe breathing out and allowing the twist to happen perhaps from the feet to the crown of the head, noticing any shift through the feet and rotating even more if you like, exploring the rotation, and then gently unrotating back to the center, taking to sight whatever is revolving around you. And then breathing in at the center and breathing out to rotate to the other side, first initiating the movement from the waist up. And when you can no longer go, perhaps increasing the stretch by rotating from the feet to the ankle, to the knees and the hips. Noticing perhaps how here the knees are bending and or how the soles of the feet might be peeling off the ground on some areas. And then increasing even perhaps more the stretch by bringing the neck, head and eyes with you. Pausing, aware of the spiral throughout the body, and untwisting, being attentive to what is being felt and seen. And now preparing for a forward fold while listening to the messages of the body, being respectful here. Breathing in, floating the arm up and overhead. And breathing out, folding forward, letting the head drop heavy and folding the upper back, middle back, lower back. Perhaps bending the knees to bring the hands towards the floor, aware of what you are seeing behind you and what it's like to experience the world upside down. And now bending the knees generously a few times and extending the legs, feeling the stretch through the back of the legs. And feeling the head and neck heavy, releasing in this position of their weight. And then gently walking the hands along the shin bone or to the thighs, finding here an elongated spine from the crown of the head out to the sitting bones. And pausing a few moments here, becoming aware of the space throughout the vertebrae. And of the breath moving in and out of the body while the spine is elongating. And on the next in-breath, stretching the right arm forward to frame the right here and the left. Sensing the space being created throughout the torso and inviting a side bend to the left and to the right, aware of how this movement is affecting the body. And returning the arm down, folding forward the torso, aware of the shape of the spine, rounding, and allowing the arms to be heavy and sway naturally from side to side or in circles. Looking out to the right side and to the left. Returning to center and sliding the hands to find a halfway flat back, reaching the right arm only this time. Aware of the difference between the right and left side of the body. And switching now to reach forward the left arm. And then returning that arm. Folding forward one more time and allowing the body to hang like a rag doll and move from side to side, perhaps bringing the elbows in the hands, aware of the breath, and then pausing at the center, inhaling and exhaling slowly, stacking on top of the pelvis the lower spine, aware of the vertebrae, the middle spine, the upper spine, the shoulders, the neck, and the head. Orienting yourself back into mountain pose and taking a few deeper breaths. Nourishing the body with a greater intake of oxygen and releasing any sense of fatigue. Resting in awareness of the present moment experience. And now moving into chair pose, folding the knees generously over the feet as if you were sitting in a low chair behind you, and then reaching the arms forward, palms facing in, and working here as you are holding the pose with your own limits and abilities, perhaps raising the arms to frame the ears, feeling the firming up of the leg muscles and the point of pressure contact throughout the feet and the heels, lowering the arms back in front of you, and then on the next out breath, extending the legs, finding mountain pose and maybe a sense of rest after efforting into chair pose. And now transferring the weight of the body from one foot to the other, noticing here the effect of balancing and shifting, and then bringing to side a focal point to prepare for a balancing pose. Choosing one foot to place all the weight on, and either placing the opposite foot with the toes on the floor, heel at the ankle, or the sole of the foot against the lower leg between the knees and the ankle, or above the knee at the inner thigh, and perhaps breathing in, raising the arms up, clasping the hands, and holding tree pose for a few moments, noticing any tendencies to wish that the experience was different from what it is, or to judge doing well or not well. And here simply inviting kindness, knowing that your body is doing its very best in this moment, where perhaps of the gentle movement of the breath in the abdomen, or the subtle movements of what balancing is causing in the body. And then gently interlocking the hands, floating the arms and the leg down. Pausing at the center, receiving the stability of the floor below you. And then gently shifting again the weight from foot to foot. And transferring all of the weight onto the new foot. And sliding the opposite foot wherever comfortable on the supporting leg. Careful to be away from the knee joint here. And then breathing in, floating the arms back up and overhead. clasping the hand, and of course modifying as needed. Then here, feeling the contact point of those hands and a sense of force or energy from the ground up, and maybe aware of the wibbling, the shifting, how the body is naturally moving to hold the pose. And then floating the arms and the leg back down, aware of what it's like to be releasing and receiving the support of mountain pose. Meeting yourself as you are through sensations, emotions, thoughts passing by. And now transitioning, aware of the expectation to move again, and sustaining the attention while you are bringing yourself into a seated position, noticing how the body knows how to move instinctively. Sitting cross-legged, for example, or in a comfortable position, you might wish to sit on a folded blanket so that the hips can be higher than the pelvis and the spine can be elongated, supported in its natural curve. And then bringing the eyes to a close or a soft gaze downcast, arm resting along the sides wherever comfortable. And allowing your posture to now be reflective of the qualities of the mountain, embodying presence, dignity, stability, and inviting a few breaths to further soften the entire body and receive the support of the earth. And now placing the soles of the feet together, knees bent out wide, hands on the ankle, wiggling to find the sitting bone anchored on the ground. Breathing in and breathing out to release the torso into a forward fold. Feeling the torso stretching, the hips opening up, and allowing a release from any tightness. And you might notice here any wish to be more flexible or to judge the way the body is in this moment. And if this is the case, this is a moment of awakening to our tendencies and gently seeing if you can cultivate some flexibility, kindness and curiosity towards the way things are, and to further invite a few deeper breaths to soften and release the torso further. Noticing how this might be changing the experience or not. And now inhaling, exhaling, and returning the torso back to center, aware of the stacking of each vertebrae. Extending now the left leg while keeping the right leg bent. Inhaling, floating the arms up and overhead. Exhaling, folding the torso forward towards the left leg. Placing the hands on either side of the leg or perhaps grabbing a hold of the foot. Being attentive and responsive to the body's needs. Inviting the possibilities to bend and or turn out the leg to accommodate the stretch, feeling the back of the thigh and lower leg lengthening, being curious how and if the breath can affect the stretch and further releasing and letting go or not, And then breathing in and out to rebuild the spine back to center. Now bending the left leg and extending the right leg. Breathing in, floating the arm up, feeling the torso lengthening. And out, folding the torso forward, placing the hands again wherever comfortable, along the side of the leg or at the foot. And then noticing here perhaps any difference or comparing mine with that other leg. Sense of flexibility and mobility. Meeting the conditions of the present moment, for whatever they might be, with open-heartedness. Perhaps further softening and releasing any tension, especially the ones that can be let go of. For instance, releasing any tension in the jaw or the shoulders. Perhaps increasing the stretch further by allowing the torso to be heavy. And then taking an in breath, and on the out breath rebuilding the spine. Extending the legs, flopping the feet, allowing the body to move from side to side. Now coming into stillness, noticing the conditions of the mind, body and heart, of the breath, the difference between thinking about the experience and sensing directly into the sensations of the experience. Now rolling back into a lying down position, paying attention to each vertebrae melting down into the mat and then receiving the support of the floor, aware of the contact point of the back body. And now stretching in any way that might feel right for you, perhaps stretching the arms overhead and moving from side to side, or folding the knees over the chest and rocking from side to side, massaging the body, stretching the legs, wiggling the feet, moving the head and neck, just listening to what your body needs. Breathing in and out, coming back to center, stretching out the legs long and the arms by the sides, palms up or down. And now with eyes closed or a soft gaze, allowing yourself to come into stillness, into a rest pause, and to feel completely supported by the floor underneath you, aware of the solidity of the earth, and inviting the body to completely surrender, coming into being, letting go of any doing, aware of the body in its entirety, of the breath floating in and out of the body, of the space existing around you and within you. And seeing if you can offer yourself some gratitude for all what your body can do, no matter what the conditions are for you today. And recognizing the time that you have taken for these mindful movements as a gift, as a present, nourishing your entire being in the exploration of what cultivating mindfulness means to you, and in the discovery of what treasure is revealing itself to you. And now resting in awareness to the unfolding conclusion of this practice until you hear the sound of the bells.